Hello, gorgeous. You're listening to the Girlfriend's Guide to Starting Over. On this podcast, we talk about everything from dating and relationships to personal development. We also speak very candidly about the F word, and by that, I mean failure. So grab a pen, tag a friend, and let's talk about it. All of it. Undergoing, overcoming, and simply trying to make it through. There was a time in my life when I wasn't sure if I was ever going to genuinely smile again. Now, I can hear some of y'all like deep sighing or side-eyeing me like, girl, you are always exaggerating for podcast purposes. But like, hear me out, because just because you see me smiling didn't mean that I was happy. Hear me good. I didn't know if I was ever going to genuinely smile again. So I say frequently that 2020 is a year that my life fell apart. If you did not listen to last week's podcast episode, Sometimes God Ruined Your Plans, go back and listen to that and then come back here so you can see like I had all the reasons to be sad. 2020 is a year my life fell apart, but 2022 was likely the hardest year of my life. I was stubborn. So even though things fell apart in 2020, I put on a really good front, and I started a new business and I was doing all these things. And I was like going nonstop to prove that I did not want to fall apart. And so I was still doing this awkward balancing act of pretending like I had everything together and pretending like I had all the answers and that I was surviving this horrible things that had happened to me. But on the inside, it was like sheer sadness, depression, anxiety-ridden. It was awful. And if you know me, you know I have this big, huge, bright personality. Like literally at work, there's an entire department that calls me Sunshine. Like that is good morning, sunshine, every day of my life for like the last 6.5, 7 years. Good morning, sunshine. And bringing the sunshine, being the light, being that positive voice, this big, huge burst of energy and wellness that you guys see every day on the outside, when on the inside, I was literally being tormented by my own thoughts, by my own feelings of inadequacy and being like feeling invalidated, like all of these things. It was exhausting mentally, emotionally, some days even physically. It was exhausting. I remember feeling like I couldn't have a bad day. Anybody else feel like that sometimes? I was on autopilot, going through the motions, going to work, smiling, showing up, doing all the things. Like I looked so whole, but internally, I was broken. And in 2022, one of my really close friends had an incident, and it required that I step up and be more of who I needed to be. And I knew that because I work in this field, I knew that in order for me to be all the things that I needed to be, I had to be whole. And so I jumped down off of my high horse. I stopped pretending like everything was happening to me instead of for me. And I did the hard work. I anchored down and I invested in therapy. I invested in coaching, and I started to work through my inner child issues. I started to work through the things that were making me sad. I started to work through those feelings of not being enough, of not getting things right, of not being further along than I thought I was supposed to be. I stopped pretending like free trainings and free podcast episodes were enough to create or generate the real change that I wanted in my life. Ouch. I know somebody. Do not get me wrong. I put out a ton of valuable content every single day. But if you want to generate true change, if you want to grow, if you want a different life, you have to invest in yourself. It's not about the other person. It's about sowing a seed for yourself. You don't get a harvest if you didn't plant anything. You don't get a harvest if you didn't plant anything. It's not fair to come and pick up somebody else's hard work and expect to get the same result, right? And so I am telling you this, but I'm telling myself, it took me over a year before I started investing and paying my current coach. And I'll be honest with y'all, like, I can't even act like I started giving her big money. I invested $5 in a visibility boot camp, and the seed that was sown, that relationship thrived so much. She treated me the same way that she treated her clients that pay well over that. I'm one of those clients now, but she treated me in the same fashion. It has been life-changing to have someone who I can share my heart with, I can share my fears with, I can go to her in tears, I can go to her over the moon excited. I have an unbiased ear to see the holes in my plan. She doesn't know me from Adam as far as my childhood and growing up and what frame or what box I should fit in. All she can see is how I'm presenting and the potential that lies in me. She doesn't have that lens of, well, you tried that once when you were in middle school, or, you would be much better at. However, she's never failed me. And my favorite thing that she says is, use discernment. Like, I think this would be great, but use discernment. If you're doing something else, Kayla, that works, try it. If you don't want to try this, well, let's think about ways that we can come up with something else to do. It has been such a good experience to have someone who is here for me. And because I loved that experience so much, because I have grown so much, because I've gotten so much courage and so much growth from working with someone, I started doing the same thing for other women. She is a coach that helps me in business and mindset and personal development. I am a coach that helps you with relationships and personal development, learning to stand in your power to become the main character of your life. The people in your immediate circle are not going to give you permission to grow. They're going to be like, oh, that is so great. You are moving so fast. Are you sure about that? Right? When you work with a coach says, sheesh, your dreams are so big. How are we going to get there? What do we need to do first? What groundwork do we need to lay so that you're prepared to go to the next level? Those are two completely different ways and two completely different responses, right? And I'm not saying that your coach, or that my coach for that matter, or that me, is ever going to push you in the direction of something that's not good for you, or is always going to be like gung-ho, yeah, let's do that. But having that unbiased ear, having that person that was there just in the capacity that you desire, having that person that is willing to be raw and open and vulnerable with you, it's a game changer. I am where I am right now because of therapy, because of coaching, because of my willingness to be vulnerable with someone, because of my willingness to invest, because of taking a chance and recognizing that I am worth it. You are worth it too. And I would love the opportunity to coach you, to love on you, and to help you to see what is possible as you become the main character of your life. Just DM coach or drop coach below if you're interested. I love you, and we'll talk in the next one.